All right, to stick with anime just a little bit longer, let's talk about Castlevania Nocturne.
Sure.
Yeah, so of course this is the follow-up to Castlevania, which wrapped up after its fourth season, I believe it was. And yeah, for me, I really I actually love the series itself, right? I will admit, first season was fine, but it didn't really blow my away, right? But and then the second one was fine and whatnot, right? But I think it's when the third season was coming up, or the fourth one, I decided to just recap the whole series. Well, sorry, the previous seasons, right? And that's when I really started to appreciate the show a lot more, right? I still feel, for me personally, I still feel like it kind of borrows a lot from Game of Thrones, the whole kind of bleak outlook on life and whatnot.
Right.
That's a very, 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 very dark and bleak look at just how life and society and religion is, right? But given the nature of the show, especially with vampires, yeah, it make a lot of sense, right? So yes, you have to talk about religion and the hypocrisy of it, right? You have to show
Right.
just how bad, the patriarchy is, right? You have to show just how bad the government
Right.
is and how bad it is,
Right.
right? And of course, just these cynical vampires who just like, what, I just want to feed on people and be powerful, right?
Right.
Um,
So this no okay. So this when I'm watching this, I was worried. I was slightly worried about one thing, and I didn't really fall into this trap. So usually, one of the problems with this stuff is when you're doing the historical fiction stuff. A lot of people, and I understand where they're coming from, uh, was worried if you're kind of trivializing the real world history of this.
oh,
So
I see what
it
you mean.
does a lot of
Hmm.
Haitian Revolution stuff, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'll jump
Uh,
into what this is about. Well, in a sec, right? Yeah. So,
right. Yeah.
yeah. So, but really, when season three came out, though, well, I should say recapping season three, that's when the show really clicked for me. And then, well, season four,
Yeah.
don't mind. Honestly, they kind of wrapped it up way too quickly, but I understand why. Because the showrunner Warren Ellis get himself into some hot water. That's all I'll say. You need to Google it.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
you have to
forget the
kind of
story.
wrap
I forget
everything
the
up,
story.
right? But I thought that where they ended it off was brilliant, in my opinion. Yeah, overall, I really love the show, right? So,
Mhm.
much of my surprise, Nocturne came out. No, I did not watch the trailer fake. I didn't want it. I didn't want to. I wanted to go in as blind as possible.
And this is the same continuity, right?
Yes, well, that's the thing because
Right.
I've never
Well,
played the
because of
game.
the ending make me think so now. Well, because of the ending, well, see that last scene.
Yeah, which would spoil, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, and just keep in mind also, folks, I've never played the games. Yes, I know. Shocking, right? So,
Right.
I didn't even know who these characters are, right?
Well, I don't think it's only Richter. It's only Richter. It's like a original. I think all of the other characters are original to this.
Okay, okay. So, but,
Only
but
Richter in the
Richter
games. I think only
is an
Richter in the
existing
games.
character in the. Okay, okay.
In the games, I think so. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I know Richter is in the
Actually, kind
games.
of
Yeah.
not surprised by that, right? But yeah, so
Right.
just to jump into what Nocturne is about, right? So introduced to
Yeah.
Richter Belmont, right? So he is a descendant of the vampire hunting clan of
Yeah.
the Belmonts, right? And one thing I love about this show here, it shows just how times have progressed in that
Right.
bloodline. Because if you notice now, the slight spoiler, yeah, Belmonts have powers. They have magic powers now. But the same oh gosh, the same fire wielding
Yeah.
powers that
Right.
Cypher had way, back in the original series, right? And I love how also too it's kind of a thing where okay, either you have it or you
Right.
don't, right? Either somebody teach you how to do it or you just don't have it or you're just not good in it, right? So I love that, right? So yeah, he and well pretty much well his friend, well kind of well, I don't want to say like well not real life sister, but just like illegitimate sister, if you
Right.
will, Maria Renard, right? Yeah, so well it's set in France, during the French Revolution. So Maria in particular, she's all about, just bringing down the government, right?
Right.
Because, she's a revolutionary, right? While all this is, but I also love how they connect history to, yeah, the whole world of Castlevania.
Right.
So not surprising, yeah, within the whole upper class now, yeah, there's some vampires that roam about, and
Right.
they feed on on the poor and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
And they all, drunk with power pretty much, right? There's also oh gosh, there's also Terra, who is
Right.
the mother of Maria, and you learn some stuff about her.
Right. Right. Right.
Obviously, her sister
Yeah.
about to be a vampire too, and she ended up
Right.
killing her and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So we
And then she
introduced
have a daughter. Right.
right.
Yeah.
Well, the daughter being Maria, right? Yeah.
Right.
So the main villain in all of this now is Elizabeth Bathory, right?
Right.
who, believe it or not, is voiced by Franca Potente, or if I got the surname wrong, forgive me, right?
Okay.
AKA Run Lola Run, right? That's her. When I saw the name, I
Okay.
was like, oh
Okay.
shit, that's you? Like,
Okay.
what? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
also, points for just the voice actors in this too. They get,
Yeah. It's great.
so
It's
forgive
great
me
in this.
for butchering the name.
But
Forgive me
no.
for
But
butchering the name. They got Nastasia Kinski to play Terra.
right.
Yeah, she
No.
as
But
Maria's mother.
I find the person who impressed me the most was the guy who played Edward. He's quite good.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, well, Sidney James Harcourt, yeah, and I
Yeah.
want to assume that he can actually sing the way he does, right? Because yeah,
Yeah.
singing in this
Right.
is great, right? So to get to Edward, right? So we also introduced to Edward and Annette, and
Right.
they are on this quest to stop Elizabeth, right? Because through some circumstances, and there's a great episode dedicated to the two of them. They found out because well, Annette was actually was born into slavery, and Edward,
Right.
however, well, wasn't, and I like how they set that up too. Very, 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 very historically accurate, if you will, in terms of,
Yeah. That
yeah,
was saying, yeah,
it's great.
there's a lot of accuracy in the historical fiction,
Yes.
and I find that was interesting that they put that much detail in the storytelling.
Emphasis on
Like, all right,
detail.
cool.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they found out through, through the basically through this religious ceremony, I believe some Orisha stuff took place in it. Yeah, that the
Right.
main villain, the one vampire that could pretty much tip the scales as far as the future humanity is in France, and they have to go there and stop her, right? Right? Annette has
Right.
powers as well, a really really cool power. Well, sorry, skill set she has, basically where she could
Elemental. Yeah.
take like
Yeah.
metal and sand and pretty much like
Right.
distill them into like dust and form them into a
Yeah. She
blade.
gets she's getting from Odon. I think she's a descendant of Odon or
Oh,
something like
right. Yeah, because they also do
that.
incorporate like I love this too. Yeah, some African deities into this as well, right? So yeah, of
Yeah.
course,
Right.
Annette and Edward meet Marie and Richter, and together they go up against the bad guys. And also, because it's Castlevania, we had to bring this up. Yeah, there's some church stuff in it as well. So we have the abbot.
Right. Right.
I don't want to say too much about him, but basically he has designs of his own. And it's so hypocritical, but it works too in terms of yeah. But it works.
Yeah. No.
There's a
I
logic
like the
behind it. I
concept
love
of
it.
I
There's
like
a
the whole.
logic behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. His whole struggle. I like his whole struggle. That's a good material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it involves him creating night creatures. If you
Right.
remember from the Castlevania series, yeah, there's these, night creatures, these demons that are created, and they just roam around and kill people. That's pretty much it, right? So if it's not vampires, coming for you and sucking your blood, it's night creatures coming and killing you, right?
Right.
So yeah, he has his own stuff going on, and it involves, these vampires as well. And yeah, just vampire slaying ensues, right? So I'll just give my thoughts on this, right? And then you could jump in, right? So yeah, who would have thought, right, that a show like Castlevania that ended too soon, in my opinion, right? Got a new series, boy. And for me, it just felt like just putting us back into this world of Castlevania Dread. It's like the creators of this didn't even miss a step with this. Though. This was great
Yeah.
across the board, right?
Some of the animation was a little wonky for me for the most part, but that's the only complaint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do agree with
that
you.
was it.
So all
Yeah.
right, so couple of noticeable moments for me. There's like a couple of action scenes where I felt they could have either dial it back just a little bit or just not make it so
Yeah.
stylized. So like there's one literally where it feels like the camera is just spinning around, but it's spinning around certain things, but not really like revolving
Yeah.
around them. I just like, all right, you're just trying to like confuse the audience. Right? Like I understand, right? I do like the animation, like how fluid the animation is as far as the action, well,
Right.
I should say the fight scenes go, right? It's very much like the previous show, right? Also, forgive me, I'm not like an animation, well, so say, I don't know all things about animation and frames and all that kind of stuff. But I felt like a couple of moments, like I do like, where you see a couple of characters crying. But I felt like there's a couple of bits in between there where like the frame was kind of off a little bit. Like there's
Right.
little drops, like dips in terms of the frame in itself. In some scenes, in particular like the crying scenes, for example, right? The great moments, don't get me wrong though, it's
Right.
just the movement of it, it's a little too slow, in my opinion, right? Just little minor nitpicks, right?
Right.
Of course, just like the original show, the voice acting is fan freaking tastic. I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
Edward Blumel, but I thought that he apparently he was in Killing Eve, but I never sit down to watch Killing Eve at all. But yeah, he was great as Richter.
Right.
I like that. Yeah, he's just basically this young surgeon. You know what I mean? Who just cocky because yes, I'm a Belmont, so yeah, I'm all about killing
Yeah.
vampires, man. And we're not doing this for money. So I like that he holds on to the ideals. But there's a moment where he runs into basically the vampire that killed his mom, right? This would be Ulrux. Yeah,
Right. Right. Which is a cool character. Yeah.
yeah, Ulrux, right?
All rocks.
Yeah.
All rocks. Yeah.
The moment where he encounters him, like at that age, was a great moment in my opinion, right?
The beginning. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in the beginning when he was young, but when he confronts him
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
halfway into the season,
Right.
that was great, and how he responds it was great. I really dug
Yeah.
that. Very
Yeah.
very human of him, right? And I love how his character changes, and yeah, literally without spoiling much, the man turns into a badass. Like, swear, like the man went into like some Street Fighter Capcom game or something, so come out doing shoryukens, literally out of the blue. You're like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Maria, or I should say the actress who plays Maria, Pixie Davis, she was great as well. They got Tuso Bedu, if I got the name wrong, forgive me, right? Who actually was from one of, well, I should say she was in, I should say both of our favorite TV shows of, top favorite TV shows 2021. Underground Railroad. She was the lead actress in this. She was Cora.
Right. 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 Right.
And she was also
Right.
in The Woman King. She played Nawi. So the young girl who was
Right.
being mentored under Viola Davis's character. That was her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that she was great.
Yeah.
As I said, the guy who plays Edward, he was great as well. I want to think that he is the guy who sings as well because Edward actually was an opera singer.
Right.
I actually need to look up and see, do a little research on my end and see. I didn't even know there were like theaters or opera houses in Haiti during that era, though. I didn't even know that. I was
All
like,
right.
all
Right.
right,
Yeah. Well, right before the revolution. Yeah.
okay.
That was a white
I,
aristocracy. Yeah.
I,
The revolution didn't happen yet.
okay, I did not know that. That was news to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's moments where the character himself actually sings, right? We're not gonna say what the context is, but it actually works in terms of the character. Of course, the characterization, like the old series is great as well. Though I love just how fleshed out everyone is, right? Whether it's human or vampire, right? The vampires themselves, yes, they are cynical, and the way how they look at themselves, right? So like Elizabeth, for example, she's like calling herself the god, and look at me and all that kind of stuff, right? And look, she mentioned this one god, the god of the sun, is like
Right. Well, because it's connected to the. Oh, I forget the second girl name, but she was the connected Egyptian.
Drolta,
Yeah.
Drolta,
Right.
yeah.
So she connected
Like
to the
like say her name now,
Egyptian god.
Drolta.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drolta, right? Yeah, and basically she calls herself the vampire messiah. But
Right.
well, I like how they do it where she compares herself to other gods. Like, nah, like this god is like me, and I could once I'm powerful, I could take down this god or like that stuff, right? Like I love stuff like that, right? Very, very, very much part of the whole vampire archetype anyway, right? This vanity of them, right? I love that. Even right down to Ulrich, the way how he sees the world as well, right?
Well, yeah,
It's,
what
it's
is
great.
interesting is where they come from because he's a vampire of Aztec origin,
Yes, yes,
which isn't or Mayan, I can't remember, but she's from Egypt. And it's
yes.
interesting that they do these things for like where vampires coming from,
Mm.
which cultures and why. It's like I dig in all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
also love the historical context of it too. Why they would go to France, and take advantage of this whole French Revolution thing in the first
right,
place, right?
right,
And I
exactly.
just
Yeah,
it catch me by surprise, but I love how they do this. How they compare what happened in France to other nations, right? So cases boy Haiti. I didn't expect the
right.
Haitian stuff at all, but it totally works. And just how they show, well, I'm sorry, I don't know much about like their culture, whatnot, right? But just how they showed it as well, especially with I don't want to say the afterlife, but yeah, just basically the dimension where souls go when they die, right? That kind of vibe. Like, I
Right.
love that. I love the little bits of cultural aspects of it, right? Also, I could be wrong with this, right? But I think in the final episode or the one before that, there's a blink, like there's a couple where Annette is channeling this power, and she says Papa something. I swear to God, Trey,
No,
like
it's
the actual spirit that show up look like a Midnight Robber, Trey. I watch it like, wait, that's
yeah.
not
No,
Midnight Robber, though.
that's in the review. No, that's a derivation of a lot of African cultures. That's what it
Right,
is. But
because
yeah,
I was watching
it's
the hat, and
referencing.
the hat itself had
Yeah,
candles. I
exactly.
was like, wait, that's
Yeah, well, that's where Papa. But that's where Midnight Robber come from. A lot of this that is effectively
right. Yeah.
African.
Yeah. So stuff like that, I
Yeah,
absolutely love. Right. I love the elements of folk horror
yeah,
sprinkled into this. Right. Speaking of horror, no, this is not the scary show out there, right? But
no,
yeah, when shit gets intense, it does. Especially with the vampire stuff. It's very unnerving at some points. But basically, what you're coming here for is the action, and yeah, just like the last season of Castlevania, yeah, the action this is amazing though. Just the way how it's choreographed, how it's put together. Literally every episode involves some big fight sequence and just characters being badass. Whether it's Richter with his whip, right, or the Capcom Street Fighter powers that he gets, right, or Maria with her skill sets as well. Too. At first, I'm like, but nah, they actually work as well. I actually like how Richter, Maria, and Annette in particular, how their skill sets work in terms of just being overall badasses, right? Where the story went was great as well. They do the typical apocalyptic stuff near the end as well.
right,
But where they
right.
stopped off this season, because yes, I
Which
do
was
this.
quite surprising.
Yeah,
'Cause I thought it was just going to wrap up. It's like, oh no, there's like part one no.
yeah.
Yeah,
With the way how the show is going, I was telling myself, yeah, this is a brand new series, and hopefully, you'll get a second season. I mean, it's Netflix is these guys. It's Castlevania. You can't go
right.
wrong with that, right? But yeah, where they stopped it off, boy, I don't want to spoil it, but they catch me by surprise. I clap when I see it. I'd also say it's very akin to how the first season of Castlevania ended. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything. It's very akin to that,
Yeah,
right? And yeah, I was just like, holy shit, bring it on. I can't wait, right? So yeah, I really enjoy Castlevania Nocturne, but it just really felt like, it's almost as if the original series didn't end and this was just, centuries later after events of Castlevania, this is the new series, if you will, right? But yeah, um, it just does, it just takes everything. It just pretty much does the same thing that made the first that made the original series great, right? Whether it's the voice acting, whether it's the just the characterization, I love though, and of course just the stellar dialogue. But I just love the writing in this. So just the back and forth amongst characters, I really really love that. Action sequences are fantastic though. There's a couple of
yeah,
slight little choppiness in terms of the frame rate of the animation here or there, but
right.
other than
Yeah,
that
yeah.
though, it
But yeah, again, that's a it's a complaint. It's a noticeable complaint, but it's a minor complaint ultimately.
Yeah, and also
Yeah,
there's little bits of anime worship here or there, like
right.
they do the whole zoom in, with the fish islands and the character when they go in mad, that kind of thing. They do that. It's like kind of weird. Its influence. It's on the sleeves, but it's like, you know what, that's fine, that's fine, right? And of course, where they end it off too was fantastic. But I can't wait, right? Lastly, before I get to rating, points for I think they did this in the original show too. Shouted out SAG after sorry in the end credits.
Okay,
I
right.
think I
Yeah,
think they
yeah,
always did that. They always show the
right.
logo at the end. If I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, I mean, it's a logo. It's a yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know, just them shouting them out and kind of shout out. I just love the shout out for me, right? But yeah, for me, I absolutely enjoy this. So rate wise, strong four to like 4.5 out of 5, man. This is gonna be up there as one of the
Yeah.
best shows I've seen all year. Season two, I just can't wait. I really can't wait. So Ricardo, your review of Castlevania Nocturne.
Unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that I watch this right after the Bleach episodes. So,
Oh, why? Why? I did it
but
before. I watched
yeah,
it before.
my hype episodes, my hype level was thrown off slightly. But other than that, no, yeah, this is well made. As I said, one of my bigger concerns, and I was genuinely worried about this, is well, if they're going to do the whole, if you're doing historical fiction, when you're doing historical fiction, the sensitivity of the fiction, sorry, the sensitivity of the history, have to tie into the thing. And if you do a good job with it, it's not a problem.
Right. Well.
But usually a lot of
In
shows,
other words, sorry to cut you there. In other words, slight spoiler. No, the vampires aren't slave owners. So, well, sorry. Actually, one
well,
of them is.
some of them
Yes.
are.
Some of them
Some
are,
of
but
them
whatever.
are.
But
No, my thing is that you could if you don't do this right, it's difficult. You could end up trivializing the narrative. You could trivialize
uh,
the history and or the narrative when you do some stuff like that. No? You're just trying to come across edgy or something like that, and it's more, oh well, that just because you add that fictional element to it, it trivializes the real reality of what's going on. People like do that shit all the time. It's a classic example is aliens will the primates. Is
right.
that right? Is that nonsense? No? right? I love Stargate, and I'm glad the Stargate writers like slowly shift away from that because yeah, it kind of a skeevy undertone to the whole thing.
Agreed.
But yeah, um, I that was it. That was the major concern when I saw Annette is. I didn't know the trailer, so I didn't know what to. I went in more or less blind. I remember I think I watched the trailer a long time and I forget. I'm like, all right, this was some Haitian stuff in this. All right, good. Let me see what's going on here. And I was worried about that, but no, it actually the story and the characterization is solid, all things considered. And they managed to just tell a decent enough material characterization with the characters, whilst not shying away from the conceit and the historical reality and whatnot. That is why they make it work for the most part. They balance it reasonably well, and I can't be. I'm not complaining. I'm sure it's have people out there who tell me, no, this is rubbish and it's so trivialized. Or other people who say they shouldn't even reference the slavery stuff at all, or whatever it is. My thing is that look, if you're referencing the events, you got to reference the events and do shy away from it. And they give us a good balance, right? They didn't try to be edgy, but at the same time, play they pay for back of the lack of a better term, workable respect to the actual history, right? But yeah, it does it. Characterization across the board, I enjoyed everybody. Annette and Edward really good. Richter is great. I really like his arc. The stuff with the vampire messiah stuff is interesting conceits, and I thought we'd like, get a little more of that in terms of the lore building. But I enjoyed for what it was. But like, why is this? Why exactly is she considered this? Like, what is this about? They're trying to do a say. The
Oh, I
undertone of
understand. Mm.
yeah, the undertone of it is interesting with the abbot. I really like that because the idea was to frame her as this effectively a Joan of Arc figure. And especially because the French Revolution and the church being in danger, I loved all of that. Like that's a great like bad guy plan to come up with. So I appreciate all of that. And yeah, it just all comes together really well. The thing is, I wasn't super hyped and I didn't pay as much attention because Bleach existed, unfortunately, for it.
You
That's the problem with
fanboy,
that. But
you.
yeah, fanboy me. So that's about it. But yeah, I dug this. Rating, yeah, I give us a really good score. The animation, some of the animation just slightly pulls it down a little bit. That's about it. 8 out of 10 still. I still really dug it, especially given the ending and what that last little shot on the moment. A certain character shows up and it's like, okay, like,
Yeah,
I thought this would end in a more interesting while away, but no, it ends there and I'm like, all right, no, the story now starting up. I was really thinking, oh, we're gonna get like 2 or 3 more episodes because there was 8 episodes. I was
yeah,
expecting 10, and like, oh, right, so it's 2 more episodes involved in this character and his contextual role in the whole thing. No, all right, it just ends. Like, all right, so if we get 10 episodes, then I'll probably get 10, maybe. But 8 out of 10 is fine. Eight for the eight. So cool.
all right, nice, nice, nice.